So the passage I'll be reading today is actually one of the chapters from my novel Lucifer. It's chapter 3, entitled Human Interaction. Lights on. The lights in the middle of the large room turned on, followed by the lights next to them. The rest began to light up faster and faster until the room was completely illuminated. Lucifer and another angel stood near the middle of the room, which was completely white, except for a small window near the ceiling close to the center of the room. Lucifer held a clipboard, upon which he was vigorously writing. He stopped for a moment to ask the other angel, "Okay, so what are we doing here today?" "Well, I created a simulation situation for our human models to hopefully successfully interact," the angel answered. Feeling his glasses slipping down his nose, the angel also took this opportunity to push them back up to their proper resting place. "Sounds good, let's see what they can do." Lucifer then spoke up. "Bring in models." Two male humans appeared in front of them, completely motionless. They both wore brown slacks along with matching blue sweater vests, and their hair was impeccable. The only real distinguishing characteristic between the two of them, apart from the color of their hair, was the large black number 1 on the blonde human's chest, and the corresponding number 2 on the chest of the human with the brown hair. Both numbers appeared to be spray painted on. The four of them stood in silence until Lucifer cleared his throat. "Oh yes," the other angel responded. He then showed, "Run program SG.7. Immediately, the two humans' eyes opened. They both turned their bodies slowly toward each other, one taking short steps as he pivoted. Once eye contact was made, they both bounced slightly upon recognition. "Oh, hello, my friend. You're looking well today," said human number 1. "Why, thank you. You're looking well as well," replied human number 2. "Shall we walk as we continue to have this conversation?" asked number 1. "I find the idea unobjectionable," number 2 responded. They started to pivot their bodies until they faced away from the two angels, and then they began to walk. Lucifer moved beside number 1 and stayed next to him. He watched their stiff motions as they took their first steps. They started slowly but quickened their pace slightly as they went. Human number 1 was a bit bouncy in his step. He raised his knees up high as he walked and seemed to have his elbows permanently bent as he swayed them back and forth. Human number 2, on the other hand, looked as though he had a hard time bending his knees. He walked with his legs fully extended. It was already an odd sight for Lucifer, but the fact that number 2 also kept his arms hanging motionless at his sides made the walk look even stranger. They continued their conversation as they walked. "How are you finding your place of business?" asked number 2. "You mean my job," clarified number 1. They stopped in their tracks. Both humans bent their arms and pivoted them so that their hands were on their bellies, and each went ho 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 simultaneously, shrugging their shoulders and bouncing as they gave the chuckle. They then continued on their walk. Number 1 said, "I'm finding it to be an acceptable place of employment." He then stopped and pointed into the air as though he had had a thought, although Lucifer was skeptical of that. Number 2 stopped walking as well, and both humans turned their bodies slowly to face each other once more. "Well, what have we here?" number 1 asked as he reached into his pocket. "It appears as though I'm holding on to an apple." Sure enough, he pulled out an apple for all to see. Lucifer watched in horror as something appeared to be happening to human number 2. He could see the model's face slowly shifting. His eyebrows moved up and down and his face contorted this way and that. It took some time, but he eventually changed his expression to that of a large smile, as human number 1 waited patiently all the while. Human number 2 then responded, "I am seeing that there is an apple in your hand." "As a token of gratitude for our friendship," number 1 added, shifting his body slightly, "I would like to present this apple to you as a gift." Number 1 then proceeded to straighten out his elbow and move his arm forward, holding the apple out for number 2 to receive. Number 2 bent his arm up so that his hand was in front of his face. He then rotated his forearm so his palm was facing away from himself. He straightened his arm in an attempt to grab the apple. Missing, he bent it, repositioned, and tried again. Missing again, he followed suit, bending it, repositioning, and trying once more. He succeeded this time, bringing the apple up and rotating his forearm back so the apple was immediately in front of his face. The gift has been successfully received, number 2 said, still wearing a large grin. With that, both humans went motionless. Lucifer stood there speechless. Nothing was said for a moment, then the other angel pushed his glasses back up his nose, asking, "Well?" Lucifer looked at him, then back at the humans. Human number 1's arm was still extended, and number 2 was almost touching his own nose with the apple. He looked down to his notes. Amongst the numerous things written about the robotic quality of their awkward walk and the unnatural patterns of speech, he seemed to be able to focus only on the last thing that was written. I guess the third time's a charm. Seeing that the other angel was waiting for him to say something, anything at all, Lucifer eventually said, "Yes." He paused for a few more seconds, adding, "That was definitely an interaction." They stood in silence again. Not satisfied, the angel tried to get Lucifer to elaborate. "So, did you like it?" Lucifer took a moment to carefully consider what he said. He was aware of how hard the angel had been working on this project and didn't want to hurt his feelings. He finally answered, "I didn't dislike the interaction." With that, the angel looked less concerned. The worry transferred to Lucifer's face. He couldn't let this angel go on obliviously with these two walking disasters. He added, "Of course, the interaction was a bit unnatural." The angel's face turned back to a frown. He began to speak, but Lucifer put up his hand and quickly continued, "Which isn't a bad thing. No, it made the interaction much more interesting." Maybe unnatural wasn't the best description, Lucifer lied. He paused once more, looking for a less judgmental word. "Novel may be a better way to describe the interaction," he added. Seemingly content again, the angel asked, "What would you say was the main strength of the exchange?" Lucifer was unprepared for that. "Well, it's hard to say. There were so many positive things going on that it would be hard for me to pinpoint one specific aspect that rises above the rest." He could see that the angel was confused. He went on, scratching the top of his scalp as he did so. "But if pressed, I'd say the strength was in the clarity of the interaction." He paused, considering how he could make more sense of the previous statement. "I never was confused as to what was going on. They both clearly stated that. As well, their actions and gestures were expressive." He paused once more before adding, "Very expressive. Which isn't to say that it couldn't use improvement." A look of concern crept to the angel's face. Lucifer quickly said, "But really, what doesn't need improvement? At this stage of research, I would be surprised if the models were behaving exactly the way we want them to. No, if you ask me, we're at a reasonable stage here." That seemed to satisfy the angel. "If you had to improve something, what would it be?" he asked. Lucifer was at a loss for words. He trailed off. "You see, the angel looked confused again. The angel scratched his head as he glanced over his notes for something to say other than, "All of it." He continued, not looking the angel in the eye. "What I think is," he looked back at the angel, who was eagerly awaiting his input. Lucifer quickly spoke. "I think it's too soon after the interaction to really say. I mean, I made plenty of notes, so if you give me a few days to go through them and really consider where to go from here, I can get back to you and give you something to really use. How does that sound?" "That sounds reasonable," the angel answered. Lucifer stood there nodding silently for a moment. The angel joined in and they continued nodding for a short amount of time. Eventually they stopped moving their heads. Neither angel knowing how to end the awkwardness, they both turned to the exit. Lucifer said, "Remove models." With that, both humans faded away. As the two angels left the empty spot that used to contain the humans, Lucifer said, "Lights off." The other angel opened the door, and they both stepped out of the room, the lights gradually turning off in sequence as they did so.